The craziest commercial I've ever seen was actually done by a friend of mine, and here it is.
If you like drugs, the first one is free.
Want to check out my van? I got some candy.
Hey, kid, want to join our gang and spray paint under a bridge?
No, bug off, man. I'm going roller skating. I want to be addicted to roller skating, not crack. Because we roller skate today, we will go to college tomorrow. Prison is full of people that have never roller skated.
I'm Brad Armstrong, owner of Roller Kingdom in Reno, Nevada, keeping your kids off the streets since 1999.
I say no to drugs. I say no to gangs.
I say no to unplanned pregnancy.
I say no to meth. I say no to reefer. I say yes to roller skating.
Man, this roller kingdom is really putting us out of business.
You said it, man. This deal sucks.
But you know what? Maybe we should give up this life of crime and start roller skating.
Dude, you went viral before viral was a thing.
First time I've seen that video. My favorite part of that video is when they fast forward George, the older man, at the end. They him in the doors. It's my favorite part of the whole video. So,
Well, how'd you come up with that idea?
well, actually, it was presented to me. I mean, they were looking for a roller skating rink to do a commercial on a show called The Commercial Kings on the History Channel, and these not so well known guys named Rhett and Link approached me and wanted to make a video, and they got this opportunity to make all these different crazy commercials, mostly on the West Coast. So I was like, I'm in. Let's do it. Let's go. So they came out and they actually spent a week with us, and then they kind of formed the idea in the week, and they kind of wanted to go along with the whole "don't do drugs" thing back in the day. And this video came out about 13 years ago or so, and they just formed this idea. And funny part was the gentleman that was selling drugs, Julio. He was my Christian DJ. I'm the owner of the rink, obviously, in the van, and then the old man worked on the skates. And right after this whole little Commercial Kings thing, Rhett and Link blew up. They have the Magical Mythical Morning Show, which is a podcast that followed greatly. And it was just a lot of fun. They were good guys, and it was actually a half an hour show that created this video. So this commercial, and I didn't know what it was until one day I got a call, and hi, this is so and so at WW in Alabama. Can we interview you? I'm like, about what? They said, your video. It's awesome. And I'm like, okay. So we
Yeah.
talked about it a little bit, and here we are 13 years later, and every person in the world has done the shadow box behind it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it just, I mean, people text me all the time wondering if I've seen it.
God, that's funny. Well, you told me because you go down to Mexico a lot.
I do. I go to Cancun, and actually, I mean, like I'm saying, we're 13, 14 years out now. And just like 2 summers ago, my little Hispanic bartenders and workers at the resort I always go to are like, we seen your video. And I'm like, what video? And they're like, the commercial for the skating rink. And it was in Spanish. So I've seen it in Spanish now too.
That's
And
awesome.
it's pretty awesome, man, and it's just these people that go, that's the guy, and we'll have people that just drop in that are passing through Reno that just want to come in, and they hope to possibly catch me at the rink. So it's funny.
That's amazing. That's the power of reach, right? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it was viral before viral was a thing. I mean, these people are just fighting for any viral moment, and mine just keeps resurfacing. And not a lot I've seen have ever done that.
no, I can't think of anything. Well, I'm sure there are probably 3 or 4 that I can look back that if I saw them again, I'd be like, oh yeah, that, because it's funny. The message of the video is crystal clear, which is give kids an alternative to, to keep them occupied. I grew up roller skating in Sacramento at Sunrise Rollerland, dude.
Yep.
Wood,
That's a great place.
wood floor and everything.
Yep. Yep.
I could shoot the duck like nobody's.
I want to see that.
Yeah, red
Your
light.
next mixer at my place. You're shooting the duck. We're
I
gonna
don't know
play
if
it.
I could do it. I don't know if I could
You'd
do
be
it
the
now.
only one. You could win a cotton candy or something.
Boom. That's it.
But no, I mean the funny thing is they had like all kinds of different things. They did a commercial for the a taxidermy place, the whole town of Tonopah, butt drugs. But my favorite was actually even I liked it more than our commercial was. They did one with Richard Marx, and they
oh, yeah.
wanted him to make it like this big old rock video thing, and they were going to use Right Here Waiting, and he's like, no, we're not using that song, that's my baby, we'll write a song. And it was for a colonic cleansing place called Fountain of Health or something, and it's just hilarious. Like a lady bends over and water shoots out, and it was my favorite of the whole series, honestly. And I liked ours, but it was
Yeah.
funny because the gentleman that worked for us says no to unplanned pregnancy. Timmy, he has 3 children and 3 moms.
Right. Right. A little irony.
Dated my daughter at one point, but no kids there. Made it
There
through
you go.
that.
You skated through on that one.
But I just love, some of the comments when that thing reposts, like that kid looks like he's on crack and, all that stuff. And I was actually teamed up with the African-American little boy, and he was not supposed to say bug off, man, but that's what he inserted there. And it was perfect.
Yeah.
He was supposed to say no, like all the rest of them.
Could you sit there and go, wait, what?
It was just awesome. It was
Yeah.
just awesome. Rhett and Lake are like, we're keeping that, and then everybody thinks he might say an F off man something instead of bug off man. So it's funny.
Well, and then
that was good
keeps your
times, man.
attention. Keeps your attention, right?
Yeah. They were all good kids too. And it's funny because I wish I could see where they are today, because that was 14 years ago. I do
Right.
know that the twins that were going to go to college or whatever, they live in Hawaii, and they're successful, and hopefully they went to college.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
That'd be neat. That'd be neat. Well, and the reason I called you and the reason I wanted to do this is because you and I have known each other, I mean, a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Like I think you've saved me in bar fights more times than anybody should have to.
You've made some strong drinks for me
And
too.
yeah, well, that's the first rule of bartending is you should not jump over the bar to break up a fight, because you might find yourself in one. So when I was my wife and I were sitting up, or every morning we have coffee together, spend 15, 30 minutes together. And I was on social media and your video came up, and I said, baby, I don't know if you've ever seen this. And she showed it and she said, that is so creative. And I said, well, this person who posted it was using it was engagement farming. Basically, it was using somebody else's stuff and just putting it up. It wasn't a shout out box or I can't believe this. It's just one line. And I thought, man, I've known you for that long, and I don't know that I've ever asked you, how it came about. So I was curious. And because I do a lot of social media stuff, I'm like, this is exactly what the people that are watching this would, because our ideal audience for this podcast are business owners or entrepreneurs that just want to be exposed to different things. So this is a good example of something where somebody thought totally outside of the box, because you could have just done a commercial, like you didn't instigate it. But if you had said, hey, I need a commercial, it would have been, hey, come to my rink. It's safe. It's fun. The kids enjoy it, blah, blah, blah. And just like I do as a real estate agent. Oh, I help people buy and sell houses. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. What's the special thing? How do you get their attention? How do you draw them in?
Yeah.
How do you keep them on there? So what people may not know, they see the video and they go, okay, that's unique. I like it. It's different. And it's got legs because it's gone on for so long. But you own multiple roller rinks. You've always been an entrepreneurial person at heart, and we've had many discussions. So what are the pitfalls of being an entrepreneur, working for yourself, being an employer? What are the things you like? What are the things that you don't like?
You're always on the clock if you work for yourself. There's no punching in and punching out. Even if I'm in Mexico, like we talked about, I might get that email that needs to be attended to. That's one thing that's, I would say, a plus and a minus. It keeps me moving, and it also, keeps me engaged, and it keeps me on top of things. I do have a skating rink in Sacramento, one in Reno, one in Fallon, Nevada, and I just purchased one in Cortland, Ohio. So they're all vastly different markets, whether it be the authenticity of the people that attend, whether it be the pace of life in the town. It's just very challenging, and not from like a hard standpoint, but it's I guess keeps me engaged with what's happening in that actual market.
Right.
Like, I mean, if I were to own a Cane's chicken store, we do Cane's chicken. Doesn't matter what we do. But, my more urban skating rink is not going to like Swifty night,
Yeah.
whereas, Reno or Cortland or maybe even Fallon loves Swifty night.
Yeah.
Or K-pop music is really hot in our genre now. So we play the Korean pop music and give away the little merch and swag that they love for that. And
Yeah.
I have an advantage because I've been into music a lot, as you know, Mike, and I did the radio, and it all kind of is the same. You know what I mean? I mean, you have to stay on top of what's hot and what's current, and you have to give back something so that they stay engaged and they're getting something out of the experience.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's really neat. And, I mean, this thing started a long time ago for me. When I was 5 years old, I went to a birthday party on a Friday night as a rink owner. That's not advised. A 5-year-old on a Friday night, because it's mostly teenagers. And I made my big move, first time ever on a pair of roller skates, to go onto the floor, and I fell. And this kid laughed at me. And at that point, I made it my mission to someday trip that kid. And so, I mean, you got to have goals, right?
We all have goals, Sever.
So, we're still friends 50 years later, and we hang out all the time. And it's just, I found my place. And I think, in the world today, everybody needs to find their place and where they fit. And I fit into roller skating. So I just started skating there a lot. And then the owner did me a favor by letting me help put away roller skates, and gave me free admission. But I don't think I skated much because I was putting away skates most of the day. But anyway, I didn't mind helping him. And then the breakdance era came about, when I was about 13, 14. I happened to be spinning records and a DJ at the point. So I didn't work there yet, but I got to be the DJ for the 45 minutes during the breakdance contest.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And then I had a really good teacher in high school, Mr. Tafoya, that was our graphic arts teacher. And he would like cut against the grain and let us have a Valentine's party and black out all his windows in his room. And we pretty much had house parties in his room on every holiday. So we got to further our DJing skills there, and we practiced for that. And then, back to skating when I got my first job, when they finally decided they'd hire me at 15, it was on Super Bowl Sunday, and we were giving out free popcorn. So I can tell you what I did all day that Sunday. I swept up
Yeah.
popcorn.
Swept up
And,
popcorn.
then I was there for 6 or 7 years in Sacramento as a disc jockey and became a manager. Then I went on to do some Safeway stuff for 2 years. And then they invited me to come back up here and manage a rink in the rink in Reno, which I own now. And they also had one in Sparks that we had to build before I could manage. So we did that, and that one no longer exists. But then I had the opportunity to purchase the one in Reno. And it was crazy because it kind of came about because I either quit or got fired. And it was pretty fun. I mean, the owner didn't give me a raise for like 7 years. And, I had a child, and I told him, well, I need more money. So I got a job on the radio, and he was upset that I was moonlighting. And he just said he didn't come up here to make a change, but he would if he had to. So I handed him a key. And that was the turning point to my entrepreneurship, because I then was able to acquire a loan and purchase the rink from him about 10 months later. And
Wow.
it was awesome. It became a success story for him that his manager took over the rink
Yeah.
without all the whatever we went through. And then, that was actually in 1999, like the video said. And, we've had a lot of great people come through. We've had football players that have gone on to the league. We've had basketball players that have gone on to the league. One of my best friends, who's like a brother to me, Neil, is a top lawyer in Montana. We have veterinarians. We have everybody that's either worked there or came through there, and I think it's a solid ground to build off of. We do hire at 14, and I'll be honest, a 14-year-old is a lot better worker than a 20-year-old on a first hire. So, and because they haven't been tainted, they haven't been poisoned, they're ready to come in and do the job. So, I'm real lucky also to work with family. My rink in Sacramento is one of my best friends. We met at that rink when he was 15 and I was 18. He was in a panda suit and he met his wife on family night as the panda doing the hokey pokey. And then they ended up with a couple kids, and that family runs our rink in Sacramento. I'm lucky to have my daughter Bradley here helping me in Reno, and so it's family run here. And then I found a family in Fallon that loves the rink, and they're my manager and my workers as well. So it's going good. And Cortland's brand new. I was lucky that they had a really good staff, and I mean there was 15 people there, and only one had to go, and it worked out. So I'm very fortunate to have good staff at all my locations. And, you know, you were talking about pluses and minuses. That would be a plus as well, to have a good staff, and in the job market today, it's very hard, to have a good staff because a lot of people just don't want to work, or they don't have any work ethic. And, whether we like it or not, the pandemic retarded the workforce some. And my rink in Sacramento was closed 15 months.
Wow.
And we retained about, I'd say 30% of the staff. So they just did nothing for a year and a half and came back to us. But, hiring that other 70 was tough because nobody wants to work, and it's getting a lot better though. I mean, these kids do want to do something, and they're tired of playing video games and all that because they've done it so long. So we are finding that our staffs are becoming more reliable and responsible, and they want to learn to move on to these next steps, like I was talking about, lawyers, doctors, whatever they're going to be.
Totally. Well, and your story in and of itself is a story of starting here, putting in the work and the time. I mean, I've had 2 times since I started 15 and a half at McDonald's in Sunrise Mall. That was my first legit job. My second was I was a dishwasher for Bombay Bicycle Club, which was on Sunrise, and they brought me in early in the morning on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays to clean up the nightclub mess that was left over from the night before. So I cleaned out all the bathrooms. So I've seen some stuff. But doing those jobs made me want to move up into jobs that weren't as challenging or difficult or frustrating. But I think it really instilled a work ethic that has been the one thing that has kept me always wanting to learn more, to do more, hey, I like that job. What do I have to learn? How do I do it? I'll do it for free for a while because I know eventually, and it was the same way with bartending and you start as a bar back and you're a grunt for a long time. So you pay your dues. I think that's probably something that has dissipated over the last 10, 15, 20 years. And COVID certainly didn't help it. So if you can, I mean, especially a 14-year-old, there was a Bel Air supermarket by my house in Citrus Heights that one of the baggers would give me a nickel a cart that I rounded up from the neighborhood, and I'd come back with 5 carts and get a quarter. And, it sounds like no money, but at the time, 25 cents would still get you candy bar, so you'd spend an hour. And it's things like that, though. I think people need something to look forward to, something to wake up for, something to say, hey, I accomplished. And yet they don't realize it. They want the rewards, but they don't want to do the work.
Right. That's true. Well, and as the manager, as the owner, there's nothing in that building I haven't done that I wouldn't ask my employees to do, and that's the thing too. I mean, we have this thing called a mudslide in the restroom. You can picture that. And we don't like that situation, but I've cleaned it up, so I don't mind asking you to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
I've been there. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And it just is. I mean, when I first acquired the rink in Reno here, there was a young lady that worked for me, Jen, and she wasn't working there now. She had a child and they were there just skating. And I was just walking around the snack bar picking up cups off the table that were abandoned and throwing them away. And she skated up to me and she said, "That's why you own this place, because you do the little things as the owner. You don't make all your employees just do it and you sit at a desk somewhere." And that's true. I mean, it takes that initiative to because it's a team sport pretty much, even as a job. When I interview, I ask them if they've been on any teams, if they've been in band, whatever, because it shows structure and it shows that they have done something and taken orders before. I wouldn't call it orders, but they've learned to coexist with others. And those that typically don't turn out to be very good employees.
Right. Right. Well, it's a reflection of leadership too, I think, is hey, I'm not going to ask you to do something I either haven't done or I'm not willing to do. And I've seen it, and I've seen it from people that have led teams that I've been on, where when you get in the weeds, they come and help.
Sure.
It doesn't matter the job. The
Yep.
job needs to get done. One
Sure.
of us is going to do it. I love
Yeah.
that. What are a couple of things, bits of advice, tips? I don't want to say shortcuts because I don't like shortcuts, but what's the word they use now? Hacks
Okay.
for somebody that wanted to get into, let's say they went into business. They like a particular thing. It doesn't have to be roller skating, but maybe they gravitate towards. I like the idea of 20 and 30-year-olds learning trades and
Yeah.
then getting really good at trades and then going to the owners of those businesses that are, my age, they're in their 50s and 60s and 70s, and saying, "Hey, how about I present to you an exit plan and I'll buy you out over the next X number of years."
Right. Little sweat equity.
Yeah.
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 No, so I mean, it's funny that you asked that. I went to lunch yesterday with a disc jockey here in town that that works all the clubs, and he wants to get out of that life. And we were talking about it, and he found this opportunity to possibly work in a pool hall situation to set up this pool hall, and that's kind of his next step in nightlife, I guess. And we were talking, and like he was saying, you just kind of have to submerge yourself in it and see if that you even like it.
Right.
I could go out, like, I mean, me really well. So during COVID, I bought a couple sushi bars. And the reason I bought the sushi bars is because I love sushi, and it worked out. And I had some really good sushi chefs that were my partners. And the idea was I was going to own it for a little bit during COVID and then shelf it off to them, and they could go on in life. So I'm helping them live their dream and not work for somebody else. They work for
Love that. Yeah.
themselves. So my one partner didn't quite make it to the finish line. So I ended up actually selling that business to Joe Lob and Lob,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he's doing really well in Carson. Sumi Sushi is great. It was called Capital City Sushi when I had it. And then there's one over by the J Resort that it was called the Biggest Little Sushi Bar. And my partner Carlos had that for about another 2 years after I let him have it. And then he made a pretty good deal on moving it on to somebody else and
Yeah.
bought a house and the whole nine. So it's all about what you put into it, what you're going to get out of it. And what was your question again about?
Well,
Just advice?
what's a piece of advice you'd give to somebody that I did the same thing? I always wanted to own a
I
bar.
guess it would be just
I bought a bar.
submerging yourself in what you
Yeah.
think you want to do. I mean, because like if I wanted to be a DJ and I'm going to be the best DJ in town, and I don't know how to do that, that's not going to work. You know what I mean? Or if I don't know what music the crowd would even want to hear. I mean, it's like you, if you did, when you were a bartender, if you didn't know how to make a drink,
Right.
nobody'd come back to you.
No, you got to take action and you got to do it. And
I mean, as your friend, and it's weird how we became friends. I don't know if you remember how we became
I
friends.
remember. You can tell the story, but I remember
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
I was on Craigslist and I bought a bunk bed from you for my daughter.
Yeah.
And that's how you're like, what? You go to Rum Williams? I've never seen you there. And
Do you know why? Do you know why I had a bunk bed for sale? Because when I got a divorce, I had 2 kids and I had a 2-bedroom apartment, and it was the only way. It was the only way I could put two kids in one room.
Gotcha.
And then years later, I bought my first house after my divorce, and each of the kids got their own room, so I had a bunk bed. And then you showed up, and it turns out we're both from
Yeah.
basically Sacramento.
Yep.
I'll just say Sac because that's what everybody knows. And we're about the same age, and we know about the same people. So, and that was 20 something, 22, 23. So
I've been here 32 years. So my
it was way,
daughter is now 30 years old. So she was about 10 then. So probably 20 years ago.
yeah,
I mean, she was actually, it was funny too. And another funny story about that bunk bed was, she took the slide mountain or whatever, the ski class, up there, the snowboarding class. And, when she would get home, I'd have to help because it only had one bunk bed up top and it had a desk below
yeah.
when I bought it from you. So I don't know if it had two before or whatever the case was, but she loved the desk below, but she was so sore from skiing. I had to help her up into her bed.
Gosh, that's
It
funny.
was funny.
Yeah. Ski
But yeah,
tavern.
I mean, lots of good times. Sky
Ski
Tavern.
tavern.
Yes.
Or
Sky
Sky
Tavern.
Tavern. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was great, man. That was a Saturday off for me, man. Drop her off at 7 a.m, put her to bed at 3 p.m. and do whatever I wanted.
That's perfect.
But yeah, no, and but that's like I said, just submerging yourself and making sure that it's the proper fit for you, I think is the best thing. And I love everything about what I do. I mean, I've been in this business 40 years now, and I'm still learning. You learn something new every day when what you do. And I think that's a plus too, that you have to be able to learn. You don't know it all ever. You know what I mean? Because there's
Yeah.
always a different way. I mean, like, I don't mean to replace you as a bartender, but like I do have a bar at the rink in Ohio, a full bar, and I put in this unit called a smart bar, and I could push a button. First, they pay for it. It's a
Yeah,
good
sure.
thing. And then you push a button and it makes a Long Island in 4 seconds, which is
Yeah.
the hardest thing
And,
to
and it's
make.
accurate, and it charges the right price for you.
It does. It does. So it works out good as the business owner in that case.
I like that.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, just about every job is replaceable by a machine, by AI. The other thing I heard you
like Ralphie
say,
May said, it can't tell you when a tomato's ripe on the vine, though.
that's right. Well, the other thing is it sounds to me like connections have been a very important part in your growth and your effect on other people. And I think that to me is the most important part of life, which is at the end of the day, who have you touched? How have you touched them? How have you helped them? I think if I were to graph it out on a tree, I think your impact on people, it goes well beyond, we'll all have a day where people gather to say nice things about us and we're not there to see it. And I would expect that when your day comes, there will be way more people than you would ever expect. And the words that are said are amazing. So I, you
It's
got it,
kind of
brother.
like the football head coaches and their trees. You just want that tree to get bigger and people to be inspired and want to do what they want to do. It might not be what I do, but there are younger kids coming into my business, my line of business, and I try and give them as much knowledge and as many connections as you can because I've learned it, and I've made the mistakes. I've spent a lot of money on television advertising that does nothing for you.
No, but
And
that video is a banger.
that's not on television though.
I
Yeah.
know.
That was so long I couldn't even afford to put it on anything.
Yeah.
It's like a minute and a half, and most commercials these days are 15 to 30 at the most.
Yep.
So it's like a minute 28 or something. It's crazy. But it's a lot of fun, and like I said, these young people that I mean, there's a lot of roller skating rink owners that are phasing out. And unfortunately, about half the rinks become a car wash or a storage unit because of the amount of land that we have. But, those that are generational or those that the people just have the gumption to get into this business, they want to do it. They're all in and they don't want to make mistakes because you can't afford to in today's
Can't
world.
afford to.
Everything is so expensive. If you go the wrong direction,
Yeah.
you could go the wrong way. I bought this cotton candy machine thing and can't keep that thing working for nothing. it gives me, the only pleasure it gives me is when I go to the mall and see the same machine, it's always broken too.
Yeah, good. Yeah,
I mean, it's not me.
it's not you.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Well, I appreciate it. And if anybody ever is in Reno that doesn't live here, stop by Roller Kingdom. Maybe Brad's there. Take a selfie. Post it.
Appreciate you, my brother. Thank you
You
for
got it,
all
brother.
that you do. This guy's sold me every house I own and every business he has helped with me. So make sure you check him out too, right?
Love it.
They
I love
are.
it. I
If they're on
appreciate
this
it.
page.
That's right. Exactly.
Thank you,
All right.
bud.
Thank you for your time. That's it. And I'll have